And a very good Wednesday morning to you. Welcome into the Chico Bormann Show here on the Big Play Sports Network. Good to have you along. Stream us live on Twitter as we do the show 11 until 1, Monday through Friday. You can do that on Twitter at Chico Show, CLE. You can also go to Yahoo? The hell am I talking about?
Where did that come from?
I actually just brought up a Yahoo report. Maybe that's what it was. Not Yahoo, but YouTube. Go to YouTube. You can go to Yahoo and type in the Chico Bormann Show. I don't know what would come up. But go to YouTube, type in the Chico Bormann Show, hit subscribe, and you'll be all set to go. It is a Wednesday, which means we'll be talking baseball in an hour with Bret Boone as the trade deadline nears. Obviously, plenty of questions on Shohei Ohtani. Guardians absolutely pummel again the Pittsburgh Pirates. Boy, I guess it's nice when you move away from the Texas Rangers and then you just get to pound on a AAA club for a while. But hey, the cure for what ails you. Enjoy it while it lasts. They will wrap up the series this afternoon at 12:35 with Aaron Savali on the bump. Here's the thing. I mean, yeah, get that sweep, get back to 500. They're going to have a major test. I'm going to be talking about this team with Boone coming up in an hour, but the Philadelphia Phillies are coming to town, and that could be a team, for the longest time this season, they were without Bryce Harper, and Trey Turner really hasn't done the Trey Turner type things that you expect, and bullpen and all that sort of thing. Something tells me. Now, granted, I don't think they're not going to catch Atlanta in the East, but if they get in, kind of like last year, is Philadelphia all of a sudden going to find themselves in the World Series? Maybe. But anyway, that's next for the Guardians. So again, enjoy this while it lasts with the Buccos in Pittsburgh, because the Philadelphia Phillies, Bryce Harper and company, and Trey Turner are coming to town. So. All right, let's get that number out there, 216-626-7901. Again, 216-626-7901. You can tweet at me. My personal Twitter is at BigPlayChico. Obviously, the show as well, at Chico Show, CLE. Mr. Bombastic, Michael Boone producing today. And Boone, let me just say that I'm going to look on the... This isn't going to be a rant-filled start to the show on Perry and Winfrey, because I'm actually going to look at glass half full. And I'm going to say that I'm glad. I mean, I'm never glad that this happens, but I am glad that this happens now before camp, because they don't need his tomfoolery and shenanigans. Yes, Boom, we'll use one of your favorite words, shenanigans. They don't need it. And, this is a guy who, what's interesting, I think, about Perry and Winfrey, it started weird and it ended weird. Like, the first time we heard from Perry on Winfrey, I mean, other than, Oklahoma, and he was he was a disruptive guy with Oklahoma, but remember, everybody's like, how did they get him? Where did they get him? In the fourth round, I think it was, or?
Yeah, it was definitely day 3.
Yeah, I think he was a fourth round pick. And you're like, wow, Oklahoma, and you look at it. Oh, well, there's always reasons why guys drop. Like, I can tell you this. Scouts do so much work. General managers do so much work, with the exception of Ray Farmer. Do so much work in terms of getting ready for a draft, and in terms of just, constantly on the look for guys to help the team. And so if Perry and Winfrey, it's not like he's just a guy that, oh, wow, he played at Oklahoma and he just slipped through the cracks. No, he didn't play at Prairie View A&M. He was at Oklahoma, for God's sake. And he was pretty good at Oklahoma, pretty disruptive at Oklahoma, on and off the field. And so there's a reason he dropped. The Browns pounced, okay. But again, go back to that draft night, or whenever draft day, I don't know. And like the first thing you saw after Perry on Winfrey was drafted, what looked like him running up and down a hallway. I don't even know where the hell he was at. And he's like practically foaming at the mouth, and he's talking about, oh, it's great to be, I'm going to be a dog, and I'm born to be a dog because my mom and dad were dogs. And I'm like, what the hell is this? But, you always say, okay, hey, if the guy can get on the football field and make plays, and you'll live with the quirkiness. But this went way beyond quirky, and like I said, he had a suspension last year. Remember Myles Garrett at the time? I remember this vividly. Myles Garrett, who doesn't say a whole lot on stuff, said, you know what? I'm totally behind Kevin Stefanski here. His behavior was, something along the lines of it hasn't been tolerable. So this guy's been he's been a pain in the ass since he got to Cleveland, before he got to Cleveland. And, now he's gone. So, and again, Browns rookies and I think QBs report today. Greenbrier in West Virginia is coming up again, getting the early start for the Hall of Fame game against the Jets. And but if there's a silver lining to this, all I'm going to say is that I'm glad it happened now. And yeah, I know some people are going to say, well, you don't know all the details. You know what? I don't care. Just the fact that his name is mentioned, and obviously the Browns didn't care, because normally in this situation, this is a first-time offense. You're like, well, we're going to let the details play out. Obviously, we could see it. I think Padone put it out. Good job to Padone. Got a hold of the video somehow, and essentially, two ladies say they saw him. They yelled in his direction, like, hey, Boom! Like you get all the time, I'm sure, Boom. And you didn't respond, which you also do all the time. No, I'm just kidding. You would always respond. So apparently these two girls are saying they know Perry and Winfrey. And I don't know if they mean they know of him or they actually know him. It sounded like they said they know him, but he didn't respond to him. Well, then they said something mean to him, which shouldn't do. But Perry on Winfrey's response to that was, oh, hey, what am I going to, instead of yelling back or coming to greet them, I'll just pull a gun because I happen to have one on me. Like, what did you say? That's according to the report. And look, I'm laughing because this is, it isn't funny in terms of, this type of thing and gun violence. But in terms of Winfrey, it's like, just get out of here. I think people know my stance on this. It's not going to be a big rant. It's just going to be good riddance. And, I hope the guy, I think he needs help. I think hopefully the guy gets that help. Hopefully he's able to, be able to get his life together. I think he could be if he put his mind to it. But you don't just land in Oklahoma by accident. But this is exactly, let me reiterate this. This is exactly the type of crap that the Browns cannot put up with this year. Okay? And with Winfrey, like I said, this wasn't a matter of, oh, well, he's been great and this is the first blip on the radar. No. It was a chance when you took him. We were all kind of like, what did he say? Yeah, go dogs. What? Foaming at, yeah. Oh, okay. Good. Yeah. All right. He's excited. Yeah. All right. Let's see what he does on the field. And he didn't even get on the field. He couldn't even get on the field. And this was a unit that sorely needed help on the interior. This was a unit that was almost dead last against the run. You think they couldn't have used Perry on Winfrey? Anyway, see you later. So the Browns didn't mess around, and they basically said, you're gone. I'll tell you what. We got a who do we have here? Kristen. Apparently, Kristen wants to. Okay, let's see what this one holds. 216-626-7901. Kristen, you're first up here on the Chico Bormann Show. How are you, bud?
I'm good, Chico. How are you?
So your name's not Kristen?
It is.
Kristen or Christian?
It's Christian.
Christian. Okay. Our automated system. Yeah, our automated system is hard of hearing. So if you say Christian, they put it up there as Kristen, Kristen.
Oh, no.
So on behalf of our call screener, who's a robot, I apologize. Hello, Christian.
No, it's yeah. I just wanted to circle back on Perry on. Like I understand they had to get rid of him. I mean, it's unacceptable, especially with the history of this team over the past couple of years. But it is disappointing because I mean I thought he would have had a much bigger role in this Schwartz defense. What that role would have been. I mean, I didn't have that high hopes of him, but I mean, still, what was he, like a 4th-round pick?
Yeah, and strictly because of these types of shenanigans. Like I said earlier, I mean, Christian, and you're right.
Yeah.
I think we were all thinking anybody on that anybody on that defense right now. Sorry to interrupt you. Anybody on that defense right now under Jim Schwartz, you're thinking, well, everybody's going to be in much better shape, including him. The only problem with him is, was he going to do enough or not do enough, as I guess it would pertain to get on the field? And he just, he's a 4th-round pick. I mean, he's a disruptor, but he fell for a reason, and we saw the reason why.
Yeah, I mean, but at the same time, I'd like to keep like you said, like a glass half full. Like I feel like that was our big focus this offseason, was fixing that interior line. And I mean, he would have just been like more of like a supplementary piece rather than something that we needed. So, I mean, am I worried about it? No, I'm actually kind of glad he's gone, because obviously it seems like he's not a guy that should be in Cleveland, especially doing this kind of stuff. So better to just keep us out of the headlines, just move on.
I think, I'm glad you brought that up. The only real knock here, Christian, is, it happens to be the one unit that you are really looking for significant improvement on, as far as that defensive line, interior of the defensive line. And like I said, I think it's very telling when you look at how much or how little, however you want to phrase it, playing time he got last year, when you consider how badly and sorely needed they needed bodies, and he couldn't get on the field. Like, that tells you all you need to know. So I'm just, my glass half full with this situation is simply, it happens before camp. Get him out of the way. They don't need any distractions. They've got to get ready for the season.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay.
And he was suspended a little bit last year, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was Kevin Stefanski. They didn't come out and say what it was, but I mean, even Myles Garrett, I said this a little bit earlier, Myles Garrett, who usually is very quiet on those things, not going to comment, he actually came out and said, you know what, the behavior has kind of been intolerable or something like that, and I totally back Kevin Stefanski. So I think my guess is, in that locker room, in addition to the front offices everywhere in Berea, they were kind of fed up with Perry and Winfrey. So, hey, Christian, I appreciate your call, buddy. Thanks for checking in. All right.
Yeah, thanks for letting me on.
All right, 216-626-7901. I mean, from the standpoint, Christian's right, from the standpoint of the defensive line, like, he's a guy that we haven't really been talking about because, obviously, he's had the issues. What's the matter, Boone? You all right?
Just taking one last look at the AI screening of the rest of that call.
Kristen Kruger is...
Well, that, and then also he said, wanted to talk Browns, Perry, and Winfrey, so it said browser, Perry, on Winfrey.
Hey.
Love a good typo.
Our call screener does the very best he or she, we don't know, it can do. And I think that, they try to get it up there as best they can. But Christian, thankfully, came through. And, yeah, it was a very good point. I mean, because like anything else, like anybody else on that defensive side of the ball in particular, it's like, well, he's going to be better. He's going to be better. Everybody's going to be better because Jim Schwartz is the defensive coordinator. And we should feel that way. And Perry and Winfrey was a guy that, I could have seen him. And I believe it or not, like, I was just thinking about him the other day when we were, you go over the free agent acquisitions and who you trade for and who you get in the draft. And then you're looking at the depth chart as they get ready for training camp. And I was thinking to myself, man, you know what? I could see a storyline where Perrion Winfrey kind of sneaks onto the into the headlines and becomes a big focal point of this defense. And, nobody's really talking about it. And then there's that redemption story. And, well, he got the coach that some guys just it's just not that important to them. Like I said, when we had Joe Thomas on a while ago, and you hear this a lot with guys like, what is your why? Why do you play? Perrion Winfrey might be one of those guys where he just doesn't know. Like, it might just be a paycheck. And there are guys that do that in the NFL. Like, hey, it's a good paycheck. I don't know if you heard, but we can make a good living that way. But if you're going to do that, that's fine. You probably, again, there are exceptions. You probably won't be in the league very long. You probably are not going to be even close to elite. But you can make a living. But if you get into any sort of trouble, or usually this type of thing comes out, and I think with Winfrey, we laughed it off in the beginning because we should. We didn't know anything much about him. We just knew, wow, this guy appears to be a steal. Like, I'm going to look up here his scouting report. I remember looking it up on draft night, but it's been a while. So I'm going to look up Perrion Winfrey, his draft report. NFL Draft Scout. Okay, here we go. Let's see what NFL Draft Scout had to say about him. What's the matter, Boone? You all right?
Oh, I was just debating whether I wanted to help you stall as you pulled up this.
No, because it would just, if I knew, I was going to say, Boom, look it up, but I knew you wouldn't be able to. I don't know what you're doing over there, so I didn't want to get into it with you.
You didn't want to test the waters?
No, I didn't want to test the waters. Why'd you say it like that, you goof?
I couldn't help myself, sorry.
Yeah. Projected round, 1 to 2. Projected high, late first, low second. Didn't work out because of the hamstring. Does this really get into? Oh, here we go. Yeah. So, this is good. So this actually has the the quotes from his call with the Cleveland media. And again, 2-time All Big 12, brought the energy, it says, as he answered questions while pacing around his Illinois home. Quote, this is me, 100% concentrated, no smoke. This is how I wake up, juiced up. Again, not from concentrate. To be honest, I just woke up at 10:40 a.m. It is 11:30 a.m. and I am juiced. No coffee needed. No comment needed either. After 2 seasons with the Sooners and Norman, Winfrey shot up draft boards with an eye-catching Senior Bowl showing in February. So, I understand. Here's the thing with Andrew Berry and the Browns right now, okay? Nobody is going to say, and nobody did that night. I certainly didn't. Or that day when they got him, fourth round. Oh, well, my gosh, what a bad pick. Because you're thinking, okay, hey, you may have stolen this guy. This guy had a great Senior Bowl. This guy was first team All Big 12, 2 years. He's exactly the type of guy that you want in the middle. He's a dog, as he said. Now, I don't think it includes the dog stuff.
That was all-time introductory conference call.
Wait, here we go. By the time Winfrey spoke with reporters Saturday afternoon, he didn't care about him dropping. He said, I expected to go early, but to be honest, I needed this. Oh, you want some haunting words? This was a wake-up call, and this gave me all of the fuel and all of the fire I needed to come into the league and dominate. So I wouldn't change a thing.
Mm.
And it's
heavy to read that in hindsight.
Yeah, it's sad. It's sad. I mean, I'm not going to sit there and poke fun of it, but this is what I mean. And this is where, as far as the Browns, you know what? Because I know there's going to be some people. There are always some people that go, well, you got to let the investigation play out. Who knows what these 2 girls were up to? Was it legit? Was it? All you know is Perrion Winfrey apparently had a gun, and got mad at what are you even doing in that situation? Why are you carrying a gun? Now, somebody's going to say, well, he was reportedly carjacked not too long ago. And okay, I don't get it, but I get it. But listen, if you're the Cleveland Browns, you look at this situation and go, that's it. I mean, we're heading off to Greenbrier. Right now, we're in the process of checking in rookies and QBs and trying to get everything in place so we can head out there for a week, get ready for the season, get ready for the Hall of Fame game, just get ready for the season. And not just any season, a season where it is drastically, I can't emphasize this enough, drastically important to turn the page and do a complete 180 from what this team and, more importantly, what this culture has been over the last 2 years. You had too many guys. I'm not even talking about getting in trouble. It goes without saying, if a guy's constantly getting in trouble, he is selfish, right? You're more concerned with, hey, it's for me. And nobody's perfect. I'm not expecting guys to be choir boys, but here's the thing. When you're the Cleveland Browns, now you've got to be extra cautious. There comes a time when you do get the leash to go ahead and draft a guy like Perrion Winfrey or trade for a guy like Perrion Winfrey or whatever. And you say, well, hey, it could hit, and if it hits, these guys are, smart and they know what they're doing. And then there's that possibility, there always is, that it's going to blow up in your face. Well, when you're the Browns and you've had the last 2 seasons and now this with Perrion Winfrey, the leash is getting shorter and shorter for Andrew Berry. Doesn't mean he doesn't know how to evaluate talent, but it does mean that he's got to be, I think, much choosier and much more diligent in his I don't want to say diligent because, again, I think he does his homework. I just think you always want to hit that home run. Jadeveon Clowney, I said this till the cows came home. Jadeveon Clowney, this was a guy that Andrew Berry chased not once but twice. And he was the epitome of selfishness. Now, a guy like Perrion Winfrey, and I'm not saying this to be true, but I'll connect the dots even if nobody else will or wants to. You're telling me Perrion Winfrey doesn't have a chance or 2 or 5 to take a look at Jadeveon Clowney? I know Jadeveon Clowney didn't break any laws, but Jadeveon Clowney, I don't want to practice. Oh, now I'm pissed off that, I think the coaches are scheming game plans for Myles Garrett, so he'll get his sacks, but not mine. That's exactly the type of attitude that it permeates a locker room. It just filters right on down. So, good. Perrion Winfrey's done. I thought for a moment, we all did, hey, maybe he's going to get it together. Jim Schwartz is going to be just the thing that he needs. But, you hear this all the time. Oh, well, there's going to the Patriots, so Belichick will really keep this guy in check. How did that work out for Aaron Hernandez? And I'm not being funny with that. Some guys are just going to be who they are. And you can have Bill Belichick, you can have Vince Lombardi, you can have the Pope. It doesn't matter. They're just going to be who they are. So Perrion Winfrey, hope he gets the help he needs, but my God, good riddance. Don't let the door hit you in the ass. They don't need this sort of complication, this sort of, distraction going into camp and certainly for the rest of the season. All right, so there we go. So Perrion Winfrey is gone just like that. In a matter of 2 hours, this went from, and it was, I first saw it with Ed and Peggy Gallick. And at first I didn't know. I just saw he's under investigation, and I didn't know if he was under investigation from the feds or the Cleveland police or Ed and Peggy, just under their investigation. Well, it's one thing to be under investigation of the FBI or the IRS. You don't want to mess with Ed and Peggy, though. You don't want to be on that radar screen.
The I-Team is a whole different kind of monster because it exposes you to the public, right? When you're under investigation from the FBI or police, no one's going to know about it. They want to keep it under wraps. The I-Team, they're going to out you. You're doomed.
I wouldn't be surprised if Ed Gallick was he just pulled out he just like walked out of the restroom wherever this place was. I think they said it was in a hotel or something. I wouldn't be surprised if Eddie Gallick maybe he was planning a kitchen visit for one of the restaurants in a hotel. Was going to do a pop surprise inspection, and instead he's like, "Oh, did I just hear? What is that? Perry and Winfrey? Peg, get down here." We got an I-team investigation.
I wonder if they just like go out to dinner and are like on the lookout for stuff. Just they see something peculiar happen. It's like, oh,
would you
we
be
need
nervous?
to investigate?
I honestly think I would be nervous if I was out to dinner, and I can't say I would right away recognize Ed and Peggy Gallick. But if somebody said, "Oh, that's Ed and Peggy Gallick sitting right there," I can't say that I wouldn't be a little nervous. Like,
oh God, they're watching me.
Like I'd kind of be like, all right. No, like, Mike, what's wrong? What are you doing? Why are you so fidgety and nervous? Is everything in order? My cell phone's not? Yeah, okay, all right.
Can you tell? Are we being recorded?
Then you start getting paranoid. You're like, could you turn off your camera? Excuse me? Turn off your camera. I know who you are, and I know what you do. Turn off your camera. Sir, we're going to have to ask you to leave. You're really creating a disturbance. I would honestly be a little bit fidgety, just a little bit nervous if Ed and Peggy Gallick were sitting in a restaurant near me.
You know what that means, Chico? You've got something to hide. Just kidding.
Well, that's just it. You don't think I don't think I have anything to hide.
You never know.
But there would be stuff that I wouldn't have to, that I never thought I had to hide, that they would uncover. That's why they're Ed and Peggy Gallick. Like I said, maybe this whole thing. Now I know it was on an iPhone. Everybody gets it on an iPhone. The girls got it on an iPhone. Here's the thing. Like I don't like it when players are targets necessarily, but at the same time, like I also feel like I'm kind of glad somebody had that because this is the result. Like this wasn't just bad luck. This was waiting to happen, and this was going to happen at some point. Maybe not go down just like this with two gals and wherever this was. I don't even know where it was. Was it a hotel? East 9th or something, they said?
Oh, yeah, East 9th and Euclid.
Okay, so they were just...
Not far from the old stomping grounds.
Okay. Oh, okay. So it might. Okay. So it might have. There's a hotel near there. I don't know. I mean, I have no idea how it went down. It sounds like it was. I don't know if it was like in broad daylight. I don't know. Boom, get on that. Come on. I mean, geez. No, I'm just kidding. Sorry. All right. So no Perry on Winfrey. 216-626-7901. Operators are standing by. I can't guarantee you that they will get your name right, that they will even get your gender right. But if you do call in, we will do our best to get you on the air. And once we figure out exactly who you are and what you want to talk about, well, we're glad to have you. Follow the show on Twitter at Chico Show CLE. Also on YouTube, the Chico Bormann Show. Hit subscribe and you're ready to go. So that was the big news here this morning. Go ahead, Bo.
Yeah, so it was Tuesday evening in a hotel lobby.
Tuesday evening in a hotel lobby. Just happened to be carrying a gun.
And then the news dropped this morning at 10 a.m. of him being released, waived.
Okay. All right, so that's it. On to bigger and better and certainly more appealing news. Josh Naylor, boom. Josh Naylor since Memorial Day is basically hitting 400. That's like if I played in a beer league softball game, and by no means am I comparing myself to Josh Naylor, but seriously, there's hitting 400 for a week. There's hitting 500 for a week. There's hitting 400 for, 2 weeks. Then there's hitting 400 for damn near 2 months. I mean, this guy is, and I don't buy in, he got snubbed for the All-Star, because he even had said, like, he handled it very well. He's like, look, it's tough. I know it's a popularity contest. I know that I'm not a household name necessarily around the league, but you look it up. I'm going to look it up right now. I believe he is 4th in all of baseball with runs batted in. Which is, again, I mean, you don't think about it. And think about it early in the season when guys couldn't get on base. I mean, even Josh had his struggles. There was a time, a long, long time ago, that he had his struggles. But guys weren't getting on base. And so Adolis Garcia from the Rangers leads the league, leads everybody in baseball with 80 runs batted in. Next up, Matt Olson, Braves, with 77. Shohei Ohtani, 3rd, 76. Next up, Josh Naylor, Guardians, 75. I mean, wow.
Chico, he's in fuego. I mean, like, Josh Naylor, I think, I was saving this for fair or foul, but I guess if he's able to not even like do what he's doing now, but something relatively close to it,
yeah,
he's got to command himself onto that MVP conversation. Like, he is right now.
Command himself?
Like, you cannot ignore his presence in baseball right now. He deserves to become a household name, right up there with Jose. And he and Jose right now are, I mean, they're like the Bash brothers for this team, relative, because they don't hit home runs.
Wow, all right.
Well, they do, but not as many as you'd like.
So I like how Boone gives a Mark McGwire, Jose Canseco. Did you know they were the Bash brothers?
I was. What was the nickname in the Mighty Ducks?
Yeah,
what did they call those guys?
I knew it. I
had heard that before, though.
For
Chico.
1 second, I don't think you did.
Yes,
for
I
one
did.
second, I was like, "How about my boy Boone with a McGuire Canseco reference?" But it's all right. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I'd go that. Like, he deserves to be in the MVP conversation. Let's see how. Yeah, I mean, if he continues this, and he's got to do it. We always talk about it. You got to do it next season. That, like, Jose's been doing this for a while, so I'm okay not putting Naylor in that conversation just yet. But when they got him from San Diego in that Clevenger deal, like, what did they say about him? Like, well, San Diego. See, I think the thing that everybody's surprised about right now with Josh Naylor is it's not just that he's driven in 75 runs. It's not just that he's hitting, these monster home runs. He's hitting 300 for the year. And like I said, 400 over the last, 2 months? Damn near 2 months. So, I mean, yes, Bo.
No, continue. Go ahead.
No.
My point was not as valid as whatever you were about to make, I'm sure.
Now, Boom, don't be whiny. No, people want to hear what you think. I want to hear what you think, even if it's a Mighty Ducks reference.
No, just in regards to Naylor, I mean, Chico, right now, this just between Ramirez and Naylor, it looks like I love the fact that they bat back-to-back, and it feels like one of the most dominant hitting duos in baseball right now. And it's been fun to see. Now, granted, it hasn't. I want to see it over a longer, more sustained period. But like hitting over 400 since Memorial Day, that is a feat. I'm impressed.
See, this is what I love. See, Boom, this is why, again, I need to, and obviously everybody needs to hear from you, because what happens is you get really excited, you get really optimistic, which is good. I like that about you. Like, you're kind of somebody actually said, I think it might have been one of the interns. They're like, you guys, it's like the yin and yang. Like, how you can be like that old crotchety guy that's yelling at the clouds, and Boone brings in the, it's a great day today, everything. And it's true. Like, I can be a crotchety old, what. But what's going to happen is this will slowly develop. If I feed it right, this will slowly develop into, and folks, let's keep track of this. By next week, Bohm may be, this could be a fair or foul question from Mr. Bombastic on the show next week. Chico, fair or foul that Josh Naylor and Jose Ramirez remind you of Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig? It could be headed down that path.
Babe Ruth might be on today's fair or foul, by the way, if we get to it.
Okay. Well, we are going to get to it. Look at that. I like that. Not so subtle reference to, hey, it's my time to shine. Now, Boone, do you like tell, like, when you're meeting all your ladies, you like, hey, if you want more of me, granted, you can see me on stage, or you can drive all the way to Long Island, or take the train with me. But if not, you can find me on the Big Play Network on the Chico Bormann Show doing Fair or Foul.
It has come up. I post some like clips of me just being a total goofball from the show.
Well, and again, understand. And if people out there don't understand this, like, yeah, first of all, let me just say, I made a point to bring you. I wanted you. I sought you. There's, which I'm sure you're like, yeah, lucky me. Jeez, I should really count my blessings. But like, this is what we used to do. We've done this forever, whether it was Ohio State talk, whatever. Like, I love that about you. So when people think I'm like getting upset with you, like, it's just, this is all stuff I'm used to, but I could just see the smoke coming out of your ears with the Naylor and Ramirez. And I'm like, this is brewing. This is no doubt brewing into a Ruth Garrett comparison by next week if they keep hitting like this. All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, Fair or Foul, top of the hour, Bret Boone. Bret with 1T. We will talk to him as the trade deadline nears. If you're Artie Moreno, go ahead, Boone. Who is he?
Art Matrano?
If you're Artie Moreno, what would you rather be? The guy that tried to sign him and waited to the bitter end and didn't get anything, or the guy that, ultimately got the prospects and did something got something for him before he decided to take off for free agency? We'll talk about that and much, much more, and the Red Hot Guardians, who are in action here in about an hour. All of that is on the way. It's the Chico Bormann Show. More to come right here on the Big Play Sports Network. Back live on the Big Play Sports Network. Chico Bormann Show with you. 11 to 1, we come to you Monday through Friday. Available on Twitter. Stream it live at Chico Show CLE. Go to YouTube. Chico Bormann Show. Hit subscribe. All set to go. We got Bret Boone. Although usually Boone is like back and forth with me, conversing and kind of throwing out stuff, and so I'm hoping that everything's good with Boone. I'm sure it is. I always forget too that it's a 3-hour difference, so he very rarely sleeps in. He's usually a bright and early type of guy, kind of like you, Bo. I notice similarities between you and Boone, that you're both up at the crack of dawn. But anyway,
True.
Boone is slated. Fair. Boone is slated to join us coming up at noon. But right now, let's get into it. Fair or foul with the bombastic one, Mr. Bombastic.
Well, Chico, let's kick things off with some interesting comments from Asante Samuel. Now, this courtesy of NFL on CBS. He was asked about Bill Belichick, who he did play for, and whether he is, in fact, the greatest coach of all time. Did you hear these comments?
No, I didn't.
I'll take a listen to this one.
Okay.
In NFL history?
Absolutely not. Are you crazy?
Why not?
Well, look at his record without Tom. You got to win without Tom.
So you telling me?
One thing I learned about being great, you got to be great in different situations. It was all Tom. I was there. I saw it. It was Tom. Everybody know it. Tom know it, but he ain't going to admit it because he want to be politically correct. That's why I'm here.
That's why
I'm going to tell the truth.
And you're not afraid.
And I never.
And you got experience to talk the truth.
Because I've been there. I've seen it. I confronted him. We've been through it, and that's how I do.
Who was the guy with him?
Hold on, let me find out. Yeah.
All I wanted to say is about the guy with him is once he says it, go ahead.
That was Bryant McFadden.
Bryant McFadden, a former Steeler. Okay, McFadden's feeding into it then. He's like, because you got experience. Yeah, because you've been there. He's like, let's go. Keep going. Wow. Go ahead. I'll let you frame the question. I did not hear that. That's awesome.
Well, I guess really just I'm wondering your thoughts on the comments overall. Like, do you find them to be fair or foul?
I mean, I'm going to say I find them to be foul, but let me say I find them to be foul mainly because he's so adamant about it. Like, if it's one of those where you're like, wow, I mean, yeah, he's right there. We've done this before, like, Lombardi and Shula, and you can go through the names of coaches and go, yeah, he's right there. But to adamantly go the other way, I've never heard somebody adamantly say he absolutely is not. And again, it does come with extreme merit because he did play for him, and it sounds like there's some kind of vendetta. Like there's some kind of...
He said he confronted him? Like, what was that? I want to hear more about that. Get that man on a podcast. Chico.
Wow, yeah, we need to... Padone, we gotta find Asante Sam. Padone has a knack for these things. We need to get Asante Samuel on. That is... I mean, it's not, like I said, it's not so much that he said, no, I don't think he's the best ever. But he was like, oh, it's all Tom. And then he's like, everybody knows that. Anybody who knows anything about anything knows that. Now, I will say that, yeah, I mean, any great coach, and there is no great coach in history. And when I say great coach, I'm talking if they're in that conversation where you're talking about, Mount Rushmore, or you're talking about, one of the best top 5, top 10 ever, something like that. You're not going to go, who was his quarterback? That journeyman court. No, Vince Lombardi had Bart Starr. Don Shula had Dan Marino for years and years. And, Belichick had Tom Brady. Now, does Brady cover up a lot of warts? Absolutely. No doubt about that. But I still think Belichick, the one thing Belichick is known for, and he will always be known for until the day he goes into the ground, sorry to be cold, is, defensively, he's going to find what your weakness is, and he's going to exploit the living hell out of it. So he is incredible in that regard. That is Boom, that is a great fair or foul. I'm very proud of you for uncovering that. That's awesome.
Thank you, Chico. I appreciate that.
Sure.
Yeah. I mean, look, I think we can all admit that Bill is certainly not a player's coach. And he wasn't afraid to call his guys out no matter how big they were, how big time they were. I could imagine some players perhaps leaving that organization feeling some resentment.
But see, like, here's what's interesting is, like, a guy like Teddy Bruschi swears by him.
Yeah. And
Like-
I'm sure his style resonates with some players more than others.
Yeah, and there's a lot of players that will say, oh, no, he's definitely legit. I mean, yeah, and they'll also say, like, both can be true. But in this case, Asante Samuel's absolutely just, I mean, screaming it from the mountaintops. It was all Tom Brady. Wow.
Yeah, that's, yeah. Spitting
Go
some
with
fire
Asante.
there.
I don't necessarily agree with that. I think I had something to do with it.
I would say so as well.
Somebody's got to lead the ship. All right, Boone, here's the thing about Boone. Boone feels like if he doesn't get every single fair or foul that he came up with in today, that, like, the day's going to be ruined. So, like, if we go on and on about a topic, which I think this is kind of a big comment, Boone's constantly looking down, like, come on, I got it. Go ahead, Boone. You got another fair or foul. Go ahead.
Well, this was a soundbite.
Yeah.
So
There was this one time. There was a soundbite.
this is also Bryant McFadden. He caught up with former Ohio State Buckeye Justin Fields, and I thought he asked him an interesting question. Now take a listen to Fields' response.
Or you know the game, watching the game, if you had to rank your top 5 quarterbacks in regards to running.
In regards to running?
Yeah.
All
And you
right.
can throw yourself in the list too.
Sounds like it's
Oh,
raining.
I am. Because I definitely think I am.
Okay, so start with Justin. He's in the top 5.
I'm
running
definitely in the top
quarterbacks.
5, no order, but I got to go with my boy Mike Vick.
Yep.
Got to go with Cam. Lamar, of course.
Yeah.
Me, and then final, Steve Young, too. Steve Young. was
Steve Young,
Steve
shots
Young.
All right, so that was his rankings. Of course, Justin Fields. First off, do you find those rankings to be fair or foul?
Fair according to him. I mean, the one that comes to my mind that you absolutely should mention is like a Randall Cunningham. I mean, Randall Cunningham was freaking ridiculous. But again, frame of reference, Justin Fields isn't an old man like me. I don't necessarily have I mean, I don't know if I put Fields in the top 5 yet. I like the confidence he has. I think that aspect of his game has clearly been something that the Bears are excited about, and I think everybody, certainly in fantasy owners too. But yeah, I've got no. Who else did he say? He said Mike Vick. Yeah, obviously.
Yeah, he had Lamar. His last one was Steve Young.
Steve Young ran. Yeah, Steve Young was. But
and Cam Newton.
Cam Newton. Yeah, Cam Newton though. See, when I think runner, I think a guy that you like, oh my gosh, he gets out of the pocket. You know, he could do that. He could run, but he was 6'6", 250 pounds, and it was like, you know, goal line or even if it was a first down, like he was going to bull over a linebacker. So I don't know if I'd put Cam, like to me, I'd definitely replace a Randall Cunningham or put a Randall Cunningham in. This is a great argument. I'd probably put him in over Cam Newton. But anyway, go ahead, Boom. I know you got some. Good.
Yeah, and then I saw some react to the videos saying that maybe Jalen Hurts deserves consideration, but I don't know if he's there yet. Now, Fields, it is interesting, just the fact that, you know, putting yourself in the top 5 all time in only after playing 2 years of football in the NFL. That being said, what he did last season, he kind of had a little bit of an unprecedented run as far as rushing quarterbacks. What was it, 12 plays over 20-plus yards with his feet? Then like second place was 6.
I mean, if he's there, then Jalen Hurts is there. Like to me, I think they're.
You consider them neck and neck?
Yeah, absolutely. And I know you're not a Jalen Hurts fan. This goes way back because I said I liked Jalen Hurts a while ago, and
I've admitted I'm wrong.
Boom about ripped my head off when I said that.
I mean, to be fair, he took a pretty drastic leap forward.
He did.
He
did. Yeah.
Yeah. But I digress. All right, let's go to a little bit of college ball now, because there was a question circulating on the interwebs of the best wide receiver room of all time, and so I get another excuse to mention our Ohio State Buckeyes because Marvin Harrison Jr. chimed in on this one. He said the OSU 2021 spring room was the most loaded Ohio State room of all time. And as a refresher, some of the names on that list, you had Emeka Ibuka, who was coming in at number 1, ranked recruit in that class. Jackson Smith and Jigba, Chris Olave, Jamison Williams, and Garrett Wilson, among others. You also had Xavier Johnson, Julian Fleming, Cam Babb.
Fair foul is Ohio State Spring Room 21, the greatest collection of wide receiver talent in college football history. Yes, Boom, that's fair.
Okay, good. Then let's move on.
Yeah, let's move on.
Yeah, I guess that'll do it for fair foul.
No, go ahead. It's all right. I'm sure Booney would like to see you in action doing a little fair foul. Go ahead.
All right.
Pressure's on.
Yeah.
Did you spell his name right this time?
I think so.
Bret with one T.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Go ahead. Go ahead.
All right. Well, I had a fun little thought, Chico, of
Uh-oh.
power ranking the Guardians' 3 young pitchers, right?
Okay.
After coming off of that great performance from Logan Allen last night, 5 innings of 1 hit with only 1 hit allowed.
I know exactly how I'd rank these. Yep.
That's good because I don't. But I'm thinking, all right, fair or foul, Chico. Logan Allen, Gavin Williams, and then Tanner Bybee.
You'd put
From
Logan
one-
Allen first?
He's coming off with a very hot start to the second half of the season.
Well, I mean, he just got he was sent down. He was sent down because he was having. Now, I mean, I'm not saying write him off, but in terms of like ceiling, yeah. The reason I said this is easy. Like, I'd put Logan Allen third. I'd have to think a little bit. For me, I'd probably put Gavin Williams ahead of Tanner Bybee, but it's not by a lot. But you're ready to put Logan Allen 1 because he had a nice start after the break? Come on, Bohm.
I don't know, Chico. I really just wanted your opinion on the matter. I had no idea how he was going to order that. I mean, to me, they're all.
You can say like I don't really. It's all right.
No, I mean, I think we've seen a lot of ups and downs from all of them, but it's been.
I mean, he's been great. Let me just say, Tanner Bybee and Logan Allen. Without those guys this year, imagine, especially during the run when they just weren't hitting anything, they weren't getting on base. Those guys, I would make a case at one point, like at the halfway point. You could make a strong case. It would go to Naylor, but your co-MVPs were Bybee and Allen because those guys, as rookies, just thrown to the wolves, and this is what they've got to do. But that's interesting. Bohm's now got first he's got Naylor and Ramirez, the next Ruth and Gehrig, and now he's got Logan Allen as the next Sandy Koufax. That's all right. Bohm, that's okay. That's what makes you, and that's why we love you. And that is fair foul on this Wednesday. We're going to go right into our buddy. Should we? Yeah, he's a little early. Should we?
He's it looks like he's away from the desk right now.
He's away from the desk right now.
You want another fair or foul?
No. Yeah, okay, if you got one, but I was going to take a break,
okay,
but
okay.
you got another one?
Yeah, sure.
Go ahead.
I think it's interesting how the Browns have been using Nick Chubb here in his career, and it feels like maybe the right way because he's been having less carries than, say, your Derrick Henrys, Dalvin Cooks of the league when healthy. Fair or foul, because Nick Chubb had about 16 carries a game last year. Fair or foul with these Browns and the expectations that they're going to be passing the ball a little bit more. You also lose Kareem Hunt, so maybe you have some questions. And Dearness Johnson, so maybe questions on the depth of the running back. A lot of unproven talent potential. Fair or foul, Nick Chubb will average less carries this season than last season at 16.
Carries per game,
Per game, yeah.
I think it's going to be right around there. So, I mean, I'm not trying to dodge it, but I think here's the I've said this for a while. The Browns are very, very, very cognizant of how many carries he gets. And now some of it, I mean, you can question, well, in game flow and man, he's not riding the hot hand. I think that they are very much aware, and they don't want to be in a situation where you've got Derrick Henry and he's 250, 300 carries a year. That used to be the norm. That's another reason why I think the running back position, fair or not, is where it's at in terms of value now, is because you don't, you used to always have to have that guy that could tote the rock 250, 300 times a season. And now that number and the number of those guys in the league are going down and down. So anyway, all right, that is fair or foul. Bohm is extremely happy to squeeze one more in there. Does he have the... He does. Joining me right now, he's a former pro player, former all-star second baseman, silver slugger, gold glover, and damn it, the MVP of the celebrity softball game. I didn't realize, Boone, I did not realize that it, two-time, I guess two, okay. I did not realize that it was Jenny Finch that you took yard. She seemed pretty upset. Like, she didn't like it that you went yard like that on her. I mean,
well, that was all right. I made it up to her after the game. I told her I'd bring her on the Boone podcast, so it's all good now.
I would like to hear Jenny Finch because
she's coming on. She's coming on.
Of course,
we'll get her out in the next couple of weeks.
Now that's wow. See, this is not everybody gets to see this. The Boone, the belt.
The belt is. I'll tell you, for as goofy as it is and as silly as it is, to win the softball MVP, I'll tell you what, it's a really cool belt.
Boone, do you get to hold that for the year? Is it a replica that's yours?
It's mine.
It's
mine.
Wow.
Yes.
All right. Well, congratulations on that. I'm sure that ranks right up there with the Gold Gloves, Silver Sluggers.
Well, what have you done for me lately? That's the only thing I could get, in today's market.
I'll tell you what.
I don't think I can really qualify for a real award.
I shouldn't say home run. Let me clarify, because this will be like the Bohm, like it's 1T. It was not just a home run. It was a of Grand Slam variety that he hit off Jenny Finch. But you,
no, did I? No.
You said it was a Grand Slam.
It was a solo shot. That was to lead off the game. That was to get things, because there was a big lead up to that. I was hitting lead off. So me and Cammy had to have a talk, Mike Cameron.
Right.
And he said, Boone, what are you going to do? I said, well, I kind of have to hit a homer, don't I? And he said, yeah, kind of. I said, I'll test the yard out for you. I'll go down a left field line.
Were you mic'd so that were people hearing you say like,
no. This was a real conversation between me and Mike. And because there was a good crowd. I mean, there was probably 25,000 because it was the Futures game we preceded. Is it preceded or post-seeded? Post-seeded. So we were coming onto the field right as the Futures game was ending. So it was, I think it was one of those, it was a day ticket. So if you come to T-Mobile, you get both games. So it was kind of the leftover crowd, but we had 25 or 30,000. I walked onto the field. I said, I didn't expect this. It sounded like a great idea 2 months ago. And now all of a sudden I'm staring it in the face. I'm leading off. I do it. I hit the homer. I come in. Cammy's elated. And I said, Cammy, ball go here. I said, hit it wherever you want. He hit a bomb his first at bat. But
poor Jenny Finch. I mean, her ERA just skyrocketed.
The Grand Slam was later. That was what really sealed the deal and brought home the belt. The Grand Slam later in the game.
Boom. But how about our boy Boone? I mean, forget about the career.
You didn't see me pitching, though. Okay, so I started off at second. I went to first. Then I pitched 2 innings.
Because you wanted to be like Shohei Ohtani?
No, I was just, they were telling me what I was doing. I'd come in. I'd say, where do you got me? I said, just keep me on this side of the infield because I got a lot of tendonitis in that right elbow. They wanted me to pitch, and then I finished the game catching. So I got lit up on the hill. I mean, Jenny got lit up a little bit, but I got lit up. I mean, I think I gave up 5 or 6 in my inning at least.
But there's I've always wanted this in softball. Now, not fast pitch. Like, I mean, because that's that's tough.
I think it would have been a different ball game if we let her fast pitch.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. But I always say, like, I mean, you got lit up. You got lit up. You got lit up on the mound when you were pitching. But how can you Well, my stuff just you hang everything as a slow pitch softball player.
My thought is this, okay, and I'm a little pissed. Adam Jones is in the game, right? And I love Adam. I'm giving him a hard time.
Yeah.
He comes in to pitch, and our team got off to a huge start. So we got a big lead. Adam comes in to pitch. He's throwing like fast pitch. And I'm going, Adam, come on. My thought was, from the player's perspective, this is a performance. This is a exhibition, strictly.
You're there to entertain the fans.
For your entertainment value only. I want to see everybody hit bombs. So that was my approach on the mound. Not, act like I'm this trick softball pitcher, doing all this stuff. It's like, no, just get the ball over the plate.
You're a philanthropist, Booney. We all know
guys
it.
hit. Now let these guys hit.
Yeah.
Plus, I have no idea how to trick you on a softball mound. Adam Jones is throwing harder. I'm like looking at him like, come on. The crowd wants to see another homer. I would have hit a home run every at bat if it was just strictly slow pitch.
Yeah,
So
that's what I'm saying.
Adam Jones got me to pop up, and I was kind of pissed.
Like I guess Jenny Finch, like, she can't feel too bad because it's like, look, I don't even know if somebody's gonna get me on this, but if you're pitching, if you're a pitcher in slow pitch, like, I don't know what the tricks of the game are to, like.
The tricks are throw a strike, get out of the way.
Okay, all right.
I don't want to take one. I don't want to take one back.
The more you know from a former
and
pro
the thing
player.
Is, as all you want to do in this game, to be honest with you, my goal starting the game, the last thing on my mind is I'm going to get this cool WWE belt. I'm thinking big crowd, homecoming, my Seattle Mariner crowd. Played a lot of years there. City's great to me. Whatever you do, don't embarrass yourself. That was my only thought going through my mind. And we did one better. But Chico, this is also serious. I'm sitting there because we had like a pre-party for everybody playing in. And I got, I'm hanging out with Joel McHale and a couple hoopsters, Zach Levine, who I'm going to get on the program,
Levine.
A bunch of, YouTubers, singer-songwriters. And I'm kind of looking at these guys and, from an athletic standpoint, I'm going, okay, what are these guys going to do? I was hugely mistaken about my first thought. These guys did really well. It's like they've been training for it. It was actually fun. I was pleasantly surprised at how well the non-athletes in the competition really did.
Well, they say a guy like
Zach. Go ahead.
A guy like Justin Timberlake. A guy like Justin Timberlake, he's a pretty good hoop player and pretty good all-around athlete, I've heard. So, some of them, yeah, you know that. But
I'm sitting there, JoJo Siwa. You know who she is? Big influencer on YouTube.
Yeah.
She's got 11 million followers. I'm looking at her.
Tight.
Cute girl. Young girl. All the young kids know her. Actually, my stepdaughters made me get a picture with her and send it back. And they're like, no way you're hanging out with JoJo.
Did you know who she was before that?
No.
Okay.
But I did a little research and I found out who she was. Sweet girl. But I'm looking at her going, how much are you going to lend on the softball field? She was good. They were all decent. Some of them were really good. I didn't worry about like the Zach Levines of the world. I was watching him warm up and I'm going, this guy's a beast. He's a dunk champ, but he could swing it. And I said, you've played baseball before. I was pretty good in high school. And you could tell that he was gonna be good. But the other guys, pleasantly surprised with the overall. And walking around the Fan Fest the next couple of days, because I had a ton of stuff. I was busy. I was going nonstop. It was really cool seeing
shaking hands, kissing babies, that sort of thing.
Correct.
Yeah.
But the fans they came up to me a lot and said, hey, I was at the softball game and I really didn't know what to expect with you guys coming out of the field. She said, it was really entertaining. And that was honest because I was entertained. I didn't expect 21-19, but it was fun. Anyway,
Wow.
That was the high moment of the trip.
No, and you know what? This is what I love. I said this last week, and half jokingly, half serious. Like, I could tell from your just social media posts, and then being able to talk to you when you got back. Like, you really thoroughly enjoyed that, and I think you enjoyed it because, like you said, some of your best years. And I don't mean just, oh wow, you put up great numbers, but you enjoy those fans, right? You love those fans. Those fans, yeah, and that's what it's all about. I think that's great. All right, so Booney, let's get to it. Shohei Ohtani, all over the news. This isn't going anywhere for a while. The deadline is August 1st. I guess I'll just pose it to you like this because, we don't really know what Shohei wants to do. We know what his agents want him to do, which we'll get to in here in a second. But if you're Artie Moreno, do you do you want to be the guy that, hey, you know what? I tried to sign him, but I wasn't just going to let him walk for nothing, so I made sure we got something? Or are you okay with being the guy that I got nothing for him, but damn it, fans, I went out there and gave it 110 and tried to sign him, and he wanted to test free agency?
Okay. I'm looking at this now. Looking at the wild card race. Okay. As of today, the Angels are 4.5 games out of the wild card.
Yep.
This next 2 weeks, and now it's less than 2 weeks to the trading deadline, they've got to prove to that Angel organization, the players I'm talking about, that they're worthy of continuing to go for it. They got 2 months, a little over 2 months of the season left. They're 4.5 games out of the wild card. That's not insurmountable, if you know what I'm saying. You get into the Shohei thing. Is he going to stay? Now, if the Angels lose 12 in a row, your decision becomes a little bit easier. But let's just say they have a great 12. Let's say they go 8-4, and all of a sudden they're 2 games out of the wild card. Different scenario. So I think we're premature on deciding what's going to happen with Shohei. Let's get to the trading deadline and saying they're in a position where they don't think they're going to make the postseason and they're not going to make a run at it. I don't know. You've got to ask for the world, right? I mean, it's Shohei Ohtani. It's probably the biggest trade deadline acquisition that anyone could ever make in the history of baseball. You get a number 1 starter and you got the league leader in home runs. Never has happened before. So think of the big packages in the past that you've had to get that marquee, top shelf MVP type player at the break. Pretty hefty price to pay, right? Now think about it. You're getting 2 of them. So you're going to have to give away the farm to get a Shohei Ohtani at the break. For me, if I'm going to sell my entire farm system to get this one player as a rental, I've got to be pretty darn sure on the other side of it, I've got a good chance of signing him long term, or I can't do that. I'm going to go after a Verlander. I'm going to go after a Scherzer. I'm going to go after a Cease. I'm going to go after a Giolito, a Stroman, where I've got to give up some prospects, but I'm not giving up the farm. To give up the farm, I need some assurances behind closed doors, those back channels, that you're going to give us a fair chance to sign Shohei, because I don't think it's money. It's not going to be money. Everybody's going to be throwing out a ton of money.
So, okay, you took me right where I want to go as far as the back channels, because now this is where, and you can kind of take us through this process, this is where the agents, I mean, let's face it, Drew Rosenhaus, who's now venturing into baseball, and I guess he's got the guy that's handling this, Shohei's agent, is a guy that trained under Scott Boras. So, I mean, we know what it is. They want the agents.
Do you really train as an agent under somebody?
Well,
okay, go ahead.
Apprentice, whatever the hell it is.
No, I'm kidding. Go ahead.
Do you know that the agents, there's no doubt about it, the agents want to see Shohei Ohtani get to free agency. So, I mean, and I know they'll say, oh, we want what's best for the player. We want the player to be happy. And I know they do. And ultimately, the player hires the agent, not the other way around. But when we talk about those back channels, do you think that Rosenhaus and whoever his agency that's handling this, do you think they really want the idea of, hey, we want some assurances you're going to be able to sign him long term, or we're going to give you assurances that he's going to sign long term? I don't think they want to do that. I don't even think they come close to wanting to do that.
No, the agents don't, but the organization acquiring
Shohei's
right.
No, that's what I'm saying.
But there's ways to find out, real ways. People that are close to Shohei, real talks, not. I'm the agent of, hey, you get Shohei over there in New York, and I'll rest assured he really likes those Yankees. They're going to say that to everybody, obviously.
Right. I
need real intel, on the ground intel.
Okay.
That says, really long term, he wants to be there. If you're trying to get me, I'll use me as an example because that's the only thing I know. I can only speak for myself. I'm at a free agents. I'm at the trading deadline, and they want me. I'm going to tell my closest people around me, free agency, where I want to be, what are my choices, or what are my thoughts going through my mind. If For instance, at the time, if the LA Angels were pursuing me, in my mind, I know, man, I love hitting in Anaheim. I love it. It's probably my favorite ballpark. I'm a free agent this year, and this is Bret Boone, the Seattle Mariner.
Right.
I love Seattle. This city's been unbelievable to me, but man, I love hitting in Anaheim. So I'm coming up on free agency. Seattle, I'm going to give first crack. But if all things considered and Anaheim puts together a package I can't walk away from, they're definitely going to be on my radar. So when they go to trade for me, people closest to me, if that word can get back, yeah, definitely an option. But I'm going to be telling everybody, yeah, I'm open to sign anywhere. I want to get the highest bids. You only get to free agency probably if you're lucky in your career once.
Right. Okay. So
you want to take full advantage financially.
Okay. So let's because I don't want to focus necessarily on the teams. I mean, we know the teams that are out there that could be interested, and do you have the haul that Artie Moreno want? I want to focus more on the Angels and Artie Moreno. And I don't even want to focus so much on like where they're at in the wild card race, because I think it's almost bigger than that, because this is Shohei Ohtani. Like this is comparable. I mean, let's face it. If we compare him to Babe Ruth as far as what he's doing, then the guy that traded Babe Ruth, Harry Frazee, you say, well, do you want to be the guy that's known? And I mean, Artie Moreno apparently has put it on record like, I'm not trading this guy. I don't want to trade this guy. Now, push comes to shove, you get to August 1st, and if he's made it clear he's not going to be around, that's a whole different story. But, I mean, seriously, let me go back to my original question. Boone, would you rather be the guy that tried to sign him and then got nothing in return and he walked, or would you rather be the guy that said, this is tough, I don't want to trade him, but I've got to think of the future of the organization?
You also got to think this. The Angels organization, Artie Moreno, obviously the top, they're trying to gather intel too. They're talking. What do you think? What's Shohei thinking? Everybody's forgetting this when it gets to Ohtani and free agency. He came over from Japan. He could have gone anywhere he wants. Why did he go to Anaheim? There's something about Southern California, the Los Angeles Angels, that Shohei Ohtani likes, or he would have signed with the Yankees out of the get-go. Now, he's trailblazed. He's made obviously he's got a platform now. He's blazed a trail. He's an entity. So now his focus changes.
And he wants to win. Yeah.
Now I want to win.
Yeah.
As players, we go through different phases of our career. I got to get to the big leagues. I got to establish myself and prove that I'm a big leaguer. Ooh, now I got to become an all-star. Ooh, now I'm an all-star. Now I want to win. But you don't take it lightly that he chose Anaheim in the beginning. There's a reason for that. And you think he likes Anaheim now? The city absolutely gushes over him, loves him. The weather can't be beaten. You're 10 minutes away from Newport Beach. Pretty good life for the next 10 years. It's an unbelievable ballpark. Obviously, you love hitting there. You see the ball well. Let's break it down to as little things as he really likes the mound in Anaheim. The mound. Well, that's pretty big for a pitcher to like the surroundings. So all those things go into choosing where you're going to play. The bottom line is he's going to choose. I'm sure wanting to win now is one of his top priorities, but all the other things come into the formula when making a final decision. What yards do I like to hit it? Because it's different for other people when the money's, one team might be offering $100 million and the other team's offering $150 million. Oh, there's a big decision to be made there to leave $50 million on the table. I think in his case, it's going to be different because everybody's going to kind of say the teams that are interested, whatever it takes money wise. So let's say all the money's equal. Now he's going to have to decide, where do I want my kids to grow up? What cities do I love? Who gives me the best chance to win year in and year out? I think the reason Artie Moreno took the team off the market a year ago is because he wanted to try to be that West Coast Yankees. I want to prove that we want to win every year. Has he proven that to Shohei? We'll see. You can't come up with things. Mike Trout goes down. Arguably the best offensive player in the game. He went down. You can't control stuff like that. So obviously when Mike Trout goes down for a month, that weakens your team. Rendon hasn't been in the lineup consistently for 3 years. So all these things factor in. If Mike Trout's still in the lineup, maybe they're not 4.5 games out. Maybe they're 2.5 games out now. So all these things are changes. How about Shohei's relationship with his teammates in Anaheim? Does he want to leave Mike Trout, or do they have a deal where, hey, we're going to do this together, or we're going to win a world championship together? These things come into play. How about Seattle? Did you hear them chanting for Ohtani when he came to the plate? It was unbelievable. It got me out of my seat.
Yeah.
And now my brain starts thinking, well, does the fact that Ichiro Suzuki, who is probably the biggest Japanese player ever, Sadahara O obviously has an argument there that he is, but those two are kind of the biggest ever. Does he want to go to Seattle and continue that legacy? Like, wow, now I'm playing where Ichiro played. Who knows what's going through his mind? That might not be important to him.
You just mentioned one guy. Let me cut you off here. You just mentioned one guy, and honest to God, this name, I completely. Anthony Rendon. I forgot he's even playing base. He sign a huge deal.
$250 million.
Like, if you're Artie Moreno, I mean, here's the thing. He's never been afraid to spend. Now, I know $600 million is a little bit different than $250 million.
Right.
But this guy is brought in, whether it be Pujols, whether it be Rendon, whether it be, obviously, Trout, but they made sure they kept him. It's almost like if you're going to, because Artie strikes me as a guy, and you said it, about the reason that he took them off the market is because he wants to be New York of the West. So I think it's important to note here that Artie has an ego, and it's not just, hey, I just want to win on the field, but he wants to be liked. And so that's going to play into it, I think, as far as Shohei Ohtani. Like, that's what I mean. I don't want to be the guy. I feel like he says, I don't want to be the guy that fans 20 years from now are going, I can't believe that you traded one of the most one of the best player, maybe the best player ever to play the game. I mean, that's your legacy. It's just not to.
I think the only way you trade Shohei is if you're completely out of it. You for the next week or next 12 games, you go 3-9. You're out of it. You're not going to make a run. And Shohei Ohtani comes to you personally and says, listen, I'm going to test free agency. I don't know that I'm going to come back here. That's the only way I trade him. Anything short of that, as long as Ohtani's telling me, no, I still love Anaheim. I want to win here. Which you're going to say anyway.
See,
you want to.
That's what's interesting, Boone, is it doesn't seem like he has kept this very close to the vest. And I know you're right. Like, eventually you're going to tell those close to you, and I'm sure as it gets closer to the first, we'll hear more. But I feel like he is really, really he's not a real,
he's not a real person. He's an avatar.
Exactly. Well, first of all, yeah, you're exactly right. He's not a real outgoing guy to begin, or at least, out there and look at me type. Right. So I wonder if we're going to even know, like, will he let anyone know whether he truly does want to stay in LA?
I'll tell you who knows is his interpreter. They spend all the I watched Ichiro when he came over from Japan, and the interpreter and him, they would meet in the morning. They'd have breakfast together. They have a lunch together. So that's kind of probably his best buddy.
Yeah
really,
right.
Outside of teammates. I'm going to go back to this, and I know, I've talked a lot this morning, but I'm going to leave it back to this. There's a reason he's in Anaheim. There's a reason he chose Anaheim from the beginning. And his experience in Anaheim and the success that he's had as a player, I don't know if I want to mess with that.
Okay, good. Yeah, really good points. We'll move on from Shohei now. We're talking to Bret Boone, former All-Star second baseman, also the MVP of the celebrity softball game recently.
Have I shown you my belt?
At T-Mobile Park. And yes, also the host of the Bret Boone podcast, which we will get to here in just a moment. All right, so one of the teams, so the Guardians are wrapping up a 3-game series with the Pirates. I think they've outscored them 21-1 over the last 2 days, which is nice. But then it's kind of like in boxing, like, oh, well, you had to, you played up in your weight class, i.e. the Texas Rangers, and they just made mincemeat of you, which that's a very good team. The Phillies are next to come to town. And Booney, I know, because in the beginning of the year, all we can do is say, well, what's going on now? And the season's long. We'll see how it plays out. I get the sense that Philadelphia is maybe going to do the exact same thing they did a year ago. And I don't know what's going to happen with them at the trade deadline, but if you think about, like, Bryce Harper is now back. Trey Turner, we haven't seen Trey Turner be Trey Turner. Last night, Aaron Nola was freaking awesome. They're sneaking. They're like the third wild card, but I get the sense that if they get in again, they could be a really, really dangerous team in the National League. Your thoughts?
Well, I think they proved that a year ago. Of course they are.
Yeah.
That offense is an elite offense. It's one of the best in baseball. In the pitching this year, better than I thought it was going to be from the Phillies. Better than I thought it was going to be for the Phillies thus far. I still think they need to bolster that pitching staff if they want to win a World Series. I think they're going to be a buyer at the deadline. But yeah, as of today, if it's over today, they are in the playoffs as of now. I'm looking through those divisions. It's the National League is very similar to the American League as far as the breakdown of playoff spots. Obviously, the Central, there's one coming from National, one coming from the American League Central. But you look at the other two, I think in the wild card in the NL, as far as divisions go, I think, man, mathematically, you could have 4 from the East. Or I'm sorry, from the West. I don't think it's going to happen. 4 would be ridiculous. But it's kind of you're going to get 2 or 3 from the National League West, and you're going to get 2 or 3 from the National League East. More likely 2 are going to come out of the East.
Yeah,
Atlanta's the best team in baseball. They're going to win that division. But it's who's going to – I think Philly, I'm going to take – over the next 2 months, if it's you give me Miami or Philly, I'm gonna put my money on Philly. There's too much experience on that team.
Yeah.
There's too many veteran players, and I'm gonna take Philly to come be that wild card out of the East. So yeah, they're gonna be buyers. I think you're gonna see a lot of buyers at the deadline, and a few sellers, and then there's those guys that are on the bubble right now. They're sitting in the middle. The Mariners, the Cubs, Detroit, kind of dwindling away now, but. You know, the obvious sellers are the White Sox, the Mets. San Diego's teetering for me. They're in that middle. They're in the middle, but they're trending towards a seller. You know, it doesn't make sense. The whole thing doesn't make sense on paper.
Yeah.
They're pitching great. They've been pitching great all year. That is a good pitching staff, but I didn't think it was top in the league. It's been top, and the offense is one of the best offensive on paper. They're bottom of the league. Makes no sense where they're at. They're 7.5, I think, out, or 8 out in the wild card. That's pretty far. So they're teetering on seller. I still got them in the middle division on the bubble. Let's see how the next 2 weeks go.
Okay, so I said I'm going to move away from this, but I can't. It's just too big because when we think about and talk about, okay, how the final 2 months is going to play out, like where Shohei Ohtani ends up is huge. And I mean, yeah, I guess you can say that every trade deadline, but we're talking about, like, think of, I'm just in my head. I mean, the Yankees, Uncle Arnie's team, we've talked about that, and they don't know yet when Aaron Judge is back, but that would be a hell of a punch. Plus, he adds to the rotation. That's the thing that boggles my mind is a team like, let's say, Texas goes out and says, you know what, we're going all in. Wow. You throw him, exactly, you're thinking, you throw him in that lineup, which is already arguably the best, maybe second to only Atlanta, and he pairs with Nathan Eovaldi and what, John Gray?
Yeah.
I mean, like stuff like that. We're not talking about, that was a nice pickup at the deadline. You just filled 2 huge holes and made the Rangers, I would think, the team to beat. I can't get the Shohei thing out of my head. The more scenarios that I play.
Without a doubt, he'll be the biggest difference maker for a contending team than there's ever been in the history of baseball.
Yeah.
Does Texas, are they that obnoxious that they need now? They got the best offensive baseball. They need to bolster it. You know, can't they just bolster the pitching side and make it fair? Yeah. Who knows?
Yeah, it's
Boston and New York, they're still in it. You know, Boston's a game and a half out. The Yankees are 2.5 out of the wild card, that is. So that division's so deep. Are they players? Maybe. Toronto, probably not a player. Is Houston a player? They've kind of had a subpar year for them. They're used to winning that division. Well, Texas got the third best record in baseball, so you can't chalk it up to Houston's not playing well. Of course, they're playing well. They're in second place, chasing the Rangers. Is Houston a player in the show?
Yeah.
Sweet. Who knows? I think
This drama is going to be incredible.
it really is. It really is. It's two-tiered. It's like the normal players, the Ceases, the Jolitos, the Stromans, the Scherzers, the Verlanders, guys at the break that are key, big-time starting pitchers. That's one. The Shohei thing, I think it's a completely different animal. This is beyond just now. It's the future. So I don't know. I think there's two separate camps. Give up the farm, Shohei. Give up some good prospects. The other one, as I just mentioned.
You jealous that? Did you see Steph Curry win the that celebrity?
He can play some golf.
I mean,
and he's gotten serious about it too. So he works on his game, but he's a good player.
It's always intriguing to me because, and you've seen this. I mean, you're friends with like Smoltz, obviously, and I remember growing up as a kid, like Rick Rhoden was always on the celebrity.
Rick Rhoden was the best for probably about a 15, 20-year period.
Right.
Rick Rhoden, by far, clear-cut the best ex-baseball player. He's a little older now. He's still good.
Could they?
Rick Rhoden's still good. He's on the elderly side.
So like when Steph Curry wins something like this, and again, oh by the way, yeah, he's still playing a pretty decent basketball game with Golden State. But like whenever something like this happens, where the conversation goes like, wow, I wonder if those guys could win on the senior
Absolutely
tour.
not.
Okay,
No
thank
chance.
you. I agree.
No
I
chance.
totally agree. I feel like
But I'll tell you, Steph Curry's taken himself to a new level. You beat the likes of a Mark Mulder. You beat a Romo. You beat a Fish. These guys are like really good amateur players.
Yeah.
I mean, guys I'd go out with and they'd shoot 65, 66 on any given day. They're really good. For him to beat the likes of those guys, because these guys, yes, they're not PGA Tour quality. Those guys would laugh them. Rory McIlroy would laugh these guys off the tee.
Right.
Okay? If Phil Mickelson lined up in a PGA senior event, and one of these guys came and played in the same foursome, they would be laughed off the tee box. That's just the way it is.
Right.
That's how good these PGA guys
are. By the way, I saw your swing that you put out there.
Wasn't that beautiful? By the way, that swing, and people that have played with me know that I could.
Is that how you swing normally? Like that was very aggressive.
No, I was a little off balance. But that was my second shot into a par five. I left, but that ball landed 10 feet. I had 10 feet for eagle.
What I loved about it is normally, like you went with okay, I'm going to try to do this. So like I'm a lefty. So you go like this, and then you kind of, they always say it's like
the twirl.
But you go like this and then twirl. You didn't do that. Like you went like this, and then you just like slammed, almost like Chichi Rodriguez would do with the putter.
Right. It's just the samurai. The thing about it is, it's laughable because I show that they're like, and the guys I'm playing with, they said, "Do you realize that anybody that's never played with you think what a bad shot that must have been? But the guys that have know that might be almost go in." I said, "Yeah, it is. I'm a little unique. I got that baseball hack." And that's why I never get to a low handicap. I'm never a 0 or a 1. I'm always teetering around a 5 or a 6 handicap because I got the baseball swing, and it'll never. I don't know if I don't care enough for it to go away and pretend like I'm a real golfer. I just have never had that passion. I just hack it around. I got some new sticks.
And he has the two gloves. Boom. He wears two golf gloves. You gotta love it. Yeah. Booney, what's up on the podcast coming up, the Bret Boone podcast?
I don't know. We got Mark Langston out today.
Saw that.
Speaking of Shohei Ohtani talk, that was the beginning of the podcast, was him, watching that on a daily basis. I'm going to see Mark today. I'm going to go watch Uncle Arnie today play the Angels. I owe Phil Nevin a visit, and I got to go see my brother.
Nice.
So we got that today. What's coming up? I'll tell you. Let me read off the guys I got coming up.
Yeah,
Jenny Finch, Ryan Howard. Harold Reynolds is going to join me to break down just second half. Tejada, Edgar Martinez, and Zach Levine I'm shooting on Friday, and then we're going to have Pujols coming up the following week.
Look at you,
And
Boone.
Big Poppy, I gave him a hard time. Ortiz, I saw him at the All-Star game. I said, listen, you told me you'd do the podcast. I sent you a text. You said, Boone, give me some times. I gave you times, and he never got back to me. I said, I don't play that. Well, you know what I might have said.
Yeah.
Kind of called him out on the carpet.
Said, I am the
tried to embarrass him.
I'm the MVP of the celebrity softball game. You don't treat me
and
like
he
that.
said, Booty, I got you, man, anytime. So hopefully Ortiz, and if he's watching this, you know I'm going to call you out, Poppy.
If he really is watching this, God bless him. I will say this, though. In closing, that's a hell of a list. Ryan Howard stood out to me because I was in Erie, Pennsylvania, and he was playing for the Reading Phillies. Erie was at the time, I think they weren't the Yankees. It was the Tigers, the AA affiliate. Ryan Howard, to this day, hit one of the longest home runs. I swear to God, it ended up in someone's Cobb salad across the street from the stadium. Like it was just it was a moonshot. It was a bomb. It was where everybody just, you don't even like ooh and ah. You're just silent. Ryan Howard, man, when he was going, he could hit some prodigious.
He always reminded me of, and our careers kind of overlapped. When I was getting out, he was getting in.
Yeah,
and had that great run with the Phillies and had a 50 home run year, MVP year, I believe. You know what he reminds me of? He reminds me of kind of a throwback player. When I think of Ryan Howard, I think of like a Willie Stargell.
Ooh,
just
guys
that just hit bombs. And kind of under the radar. Then he did a couple Subway sandwich commercials. So Ryan, I don't know Ryan that well. Obviously, I met him at the celebrity softball game. Real good guy, and I'm looking forward to having him on.
Will you tell Uncle Arnie that we said hello? And I mean that. I know. Don't just.
Yes, I will. I will.
Saying that Chico, sends his best.
They've been struggling lately, the Yankees. So.
Yeah.
Got to go in with kid gloves today.
Well,
I'll send you some content, Chico. You know I'm always good for content. I'll see what I can ruffle up.
You're excellent for content, and again, congratulations on the belt. That's some outstanding stuff.
Boom! You've been kind of silent today. You got anything for me before we check out?
As a matter of fact, I do, Booney. So when you're gripping a golf club, because I know you said that you've got that baseball swing, are you interlocking that grip, or are you gripping it like a bat?
I'm overlapping. I don't do the interlock.
That's what much of the baseball.
I overlap. Put it this way: I overlap on driver, 8, 9, and my wedges. I overlap. Okay. Sometimes on my 3-wood, depending on if I'm going to cut or draw it, and then for irons 4 through 7, I barely touch. It's a 10-finger grip. I know for the golfers out there that know what I'm talking about, they're going to go, how do you use a 10-finger grip? I do for 4 iron through 7 iron. So, Chico, you're probably not understanding what I'm saying right there. But it's a very complex system I have on the golf course. Boone, I'm trying to overlap on all my irons.
I can totally see Boone on the tee box before he's like – feeling almost like he's getting ready to go into a batter's box. Like I could see him adjusting the gloves, like the Velcro, probably grabbing his crotch, making sure that's adjusted. And then he like stands up. I could totally see Boone doing the baseball routine as he's about to tee off.
For not being a great golfer, I am sure I'm as complex as they come.
5 or
with
6
with the little nuances. I've got a weird system, but it works for me. I wouldn't teach it to anybody else, but it works for me.
Boone, that's why we love you. We appreciate the time as always. Enjoy your trip to see Uncle Arnie, and again, send him our best, and I'm sure he'll send that back too. So we appreciate it.
All right, guys. See ya.
All right, that is Bret Boone, former All-Star second baseman. Good question, Bohm. Very good question. I've asked him that before because I've with baseball players, and you say a baseball grip, like. And I know what he's saying. Instead of this, he does that. But like a lot of guys that have really big hands will say they don't want to interlock. But if Tiger has huge hands, but he always swears by the interlock grip.
Yeah, and that's the conventional method that I was taught. I originally started playing golf with just a standard like baseball not overlapping grip.
Yeah.
And then it was like mind blowing to me when I
Just
finally
like this?
learned, like, oh,
Connect the hands.
Yeah.
That's great.
I wanted to follow up with how many practice swings he likes in the tee box because he has such an intricate routine. Is it the same amount? But whatever, maybe next time.
I'll have to show you the swing that he put out. It is so aggressive, and it really, we're talking about off balance. It looks like he's about to fall backwards.
We talking like long drive competition aggressive?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like you would, but like he said, that was his second shot into a par 5. So it wasn't like him at the driving range. That's just, you can see that's just how aggressive he is. Anyway, we'll take a break. We come back, final half hour or so. Going to recap our top story. Perry and Winfrey, if you have not heard, is gone. Another incident, and the Browns don't waste any time in cutting him as they prepare to go to Greenbrier in West Virginia for camp. So we'll talk about that. The Guardians and the Pirates are just about ready to get underway in Pittsburgh, if they haven't already, wrapping up the 3-game set. They've outscored the Pirates 21-1 in 2 games. Think they had a little frustration pent up from the Texas series? Yeah, I think so, too. We'll be back with more Chico Bormann Show. You want to chime in? 216-626-7901. It's all here on the Big Play Sports Network. All right, welcome back, Chico Bormann Show at the Big Play Sports Network. It's all right, full disclosure, we're talking about, like, Bohm has rejoins that he can hit. Chico's talking football, Chico's talking basketball, baseball, whatever. And he's like, which one do you want? Because I mentioned before the break that we're going to, recap the Winfrey news and then update you on the Guardians. And I said, you know what? Don't worry about a transition. But I did say, like, we need music coming back. I don't like just I don't know if that's the radio thing in me, but I don't like just all of a sudden like, hey, like I feel like somebody's got their iPhone and like they're coming around the corner at my house. They're like, hey, welcome back. Like it just does. I don't know. It just feels weird. It just feels
radio silence, Chico. It's never a really comfortable thing when you're on the air.
I think maybe what I do is, let's try this again. Like, put the camera on you and then put it on me, and this is how I'll come back when it's just a dry.
So it starts like this, like with the split shot.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Like, kind of just mess with, like, oh, what are you looking at? All right. It is the Chico Bormann Show. Going off the rails. See what happens when we have Boone for a half hour. He gets me in a crazy mood.
A lollygagging mood.
Yes. Lollygagging is right. He was outstanding though today. All right, recapping our top story. It broke earlier today, mid-morning, I would say. Perry on Winfrey has been released. Now, this is saying that this isn't right. This headline on ESPN says Browns released defensive tackle Perry and Winfrey following robbery incident. Are they talking about the one where he... What? Okay, remember that he was the... Didn't they say he was the victim when they had... It was Greg Newsome and...
Demetric Felton was one of them. His helmet was found outside the stadium after that car theft.
Yeah, Winfrey, I thought was... but this is just weird. It says... the Cleveland Browns released defensive tackle Perry on Winfrey on Wednesday after police listed him as a suspect in an aggravated robbery incident. Now, earlier this morning, we were under the impression that on Tuesday at some point, Tuesday night, East 9th and Euclid, a hotel lobby, two women, because they had it on Instagram, and of course it went out there, as Belichick would say, Instaface. They recorded them like shouting like, hey, Perry on. He doesn't acknowledge him. And then they yelled something back that wasn't nice, and he came back towards them and had a gun. I don't know.
Yeah, so I'm looking at this article. It looks like he's just referring to when he did have his car jacked and was robbed at gunpoint.
Yeah, but then why are they saying? Then why does the first paragraph say that the police listed him as a suspect? It's kind of different. Like, if you're a suspect, the victim or the suspect in an aggravated. Now, again, the incident we're referring to, that was the last straw, was Tuesday, and that. But if you're saying he was a suspect in an aggravated,
I don't see that in the ESPN article.
Okay, here we go. Go further. This is April. In a separate incident, geez, how many incidents are there with this guy and guns? In a separate incident in April, Winfrey was arrested in Harris County, Texas. I forgot about this. After being accused of grabbing the hand of a woman he was dating, causing bodily injury. According to court records, the case of misdemeanor assault against him was dropped. And then in June, Winfrey and Cleveland cornerback Greg Newsome II were robbed at gunpoint by 6 masked men outside a club around 3:30 a.m. But anyway, he had this incident on Tuesday. Browns are not going to waste any time. They shouldn't. This is 3, 4, 5, 6 strikes and you're out. And bottom line is this. I mean, you know it. I know it. From just a personal standpoint or just a humanizing standpoint, I wish him the best. I think he needs a lot of help. I hope he gets that help. The Browns knew that there were these red flags coming out. They still took a shot at him in the 4th round, and that's okay. But when I will say this, when you have what the Browns have had over the last couple of years, and you've got a lot of selfish guys, and you've got guys, there's bickering in the locker room, and me, and you talk about culture, you can't be taking chances on guys like this if you're not one of those teams that you don't have a culture issue. And the Browns have had one. Now, is it cleared up? We'll find out. Everybody can say, oh, yeah, that's gone. That's done. You don't know that. You don't know that until the rubber meets the road, the season starts, say they lose a game or two, which they will at some point. Okay, then what's the call? Like, we don't know. I mean, I'm optimistic. I feel much better, not only with the personnel, but with, Jim Schwartz coming in and Deshaun Watson a full off season. I mean, this could be a special season. It really could. Or the culture thing could rear its ugly head again. And, I hope that's not the case, but at least Perry and Winfrey won't be a part of that because you can't. This was going to happen at some point again. It wasn't like, after the incident in April or after the, other incidents that he just all of a sudden said, you know what, I'm all in. Boy, I needed that wake-up call. He said that on draft day. That was in his call to the media. Boy, I'm not really, I wanted to go in the first 2 rounds. I wanted to go in the first round, but I'm not going to worry about going in the 4th round because you know what? It's a wake-up call. I've got all the fuel I needed. Well, you need to refuel. You're on empty again, and this is now life. So hopefully he gets it together. But as far as the Browns are concerned, good. This is a critical season. Jobs are on the line, and I want them heading off to Greenbrier. Quarterbacks and rookies report today. You don't need clowns like this on your team. You just don't. You can't have them.
Yeah, and sadly, look, I was really excited when the Browns took Perry on because, after seeing that press conference, it's a personality that could be very endearing if that guy can, keep that sort of focus on the field. That being said, the trouble surrounding Winfrey off the field feels like it's been relentless. Like right off the rip, being benched and not dressing for games, and for unspecified reasons when he should have and was very much expected to be dressing for a game.
And there were reports about practice, being late to practice or missing a practice. Like, here's the thing, and I mentioned this earlier in the show when we first talked about it in the 11 o'clock hour. Myles Garrett very rarely is going to talk about stuff like this, right? But he actually did make a comment last year after Perry was suspended, and he said, "Yeah, you know what? I'm paraphrasing. His behavior was intolerable, and I'm totally behind what Kevin Stefanski did." So for Myles to come out and say something, that like this guy was becoming a disruption. But like I said, on the humanizing, from the human standpoint, get your life together, get the help you need. You can't be walking around public with guns and pulling them on people. If he can revive his football career, this guy's very talented. Again, you don't only just not end up at Oklahoma. You don't end up at Oklahoma and become a first-team All-Big 12 twice if you don't have some serious talent, God-given ability. Now he's got to use it. So we'll see what happens. Guardians and the Pirates have played an inning over at PNC Park, which I believe is the most beautiful park in Major League Baseball. Not so much during the day. I mean, it's still beautiful during the day, but when the Clemente Bridge is lit up at night, to me, it's like nothing else. I mean, it's incredible. But they played one scoreless going to the top of the second. Aaron Savali on the bump. Now he is the subject of trade rumors because Bieber probably won't be because the interest won't be there because he's shut down with the elbow. And so now Savali. Now how that could just be, well, hey, those are names that are being thrown around. We got the deadline approaching, so okay, well, let's put Savali. Or there could be some truth to it. I think there's probably some truth to it. I know this. The Guardians are listening to anything. They should be. I have to wonder, and I hope I'm wrong on this. Like in May when people were saying this, I was upset because that's ridiculous. It's a long season. That Texas series kind of showed a lot to me. Now you got reality with Bieber on the shelf. Now reality with Tristan McKenzie on the shelf. And while Naylor is, just unconscious at the plate and they are hitting more and hitting better, if they can just, hey, if they win the division, it's not their fault. They get into the postseason, great. But I'm not gonna make any huge moves trying to add something necessarily for right now. I think the major priority now is next year and beyond. And I think, and I hate saying that because I go the other way, but it is what it is. I think after this Phillies series the Phillies coming to town. They're playing good ball. I just get the sense they got Milwaukee and they tonight, and then Philadelphia comes to town on Friday. I have a feeling the Phillies are going to kind of do what the Rangers did. I hope I'm wrong, but I have a feeling they might do that. So I think it's going to be the reality check that we all, if we're not there yet, that we're probably going to get. I hate to say it, but that's just my opinion.
Yeah, it feels, Chico, like the Guardians are one of the best teams in the league when it comes to beating up on on poor clubs. But when it comes to facing against the top tier opponents, man, it's just like you're setting yourself up to be let down if you expect them to come out of that winning more games in the series. And I don't know like what sort of jumps or what sort of moves trading Savali. I don't know how that could really put them over the top and get them up into that threshold of being able to hang with the elite teams over the course of the full series.
There's not a move that they can make that's going to do that.
Right. So, yeah, I agree with you that you have to start looking forward to next season. At what point do you start to bring up more younger guys, kind of like last season, to get them more reps in the big leagues?
How many younger guys are there?
What do you think of John Kenzie Knoll?
Well, okay, you got to be realistic with guys that are ready to come up and guys that like these youngsters. They forget about that. Let's get more of a look. This is why I've been saying about Miles Straw. Like, okay, he doesn't need to play every day. I need to see Tyler Freeman. They need to see Tyler Freeman. They need to see Gabriel Arias. They need to see Rocchio. Now Rocchio, definitely. You need to see those guys and know what you've got for next season. Hopefully for the second half of this year too, but I mean, not necessarily record-wise. Now, again, because the division is the division, they might absolutely win it, and if they do, awesome. They get hot, great. But I think any GM, but I've always said this, any GM, particularly here in Cleveland or any other small market, the day that you're thinking about just the here and now and not the next few years, and really focus on the next few years, you're going to be out of a job. That's why they're so good at what they do for this market, or for any market, but they know what they're doing. They have that feel, and now's the time. But I feel like this team, they are what they are. Are they better than the Pirates? Sure they are. And they've been showing that. Hopefully we'll show it with a sweep today. But can they hang with the Rangers? Absolutely not. Can they hang with the Phillies, who are not the Rangers, but I think are coming on? And I said to Boone, and he agreed, could be right back where they were last year in the World Series. They get everybody back. Bryce Harper, married to an Ohio State girl, as Bohm likes to point out, soccer player.
Yeah. Don't forget Bohm, too. If they get Bohm back healthy, you're looking at...
Actually, Alec Bohm is now back. I think they... Yeah.
Well, you said he's been in and out.
Well, he had that hamstring. You just wanted to mention Bohm. If Trey Turner, that's all right.
When you get Bohm at 100%, look out.
Yeah, our Bohm comes in about 40%. But, if
That's why I have Nirvana Superwater to up my game to about 50-60%.
If we ever get Bohm anywhere near 100, look out. Yes, Nirvana Superwater, the way to go. A hot day like this, and certainly hot in this studio. Shout out to the warden, McAllister. Boy, he's really doing some good work on that vinyl on the doors. Anyway, but we have our Nirvana Super Water. I've got the Strawberry Basil Lemonade. Rehydrate, refuel, vitamins, minerals, B vitamins. You've got HMB used in cancer treatments. Nobody else has this on the market. They've got the market cornered on it. This is it. If you want to experience what we're experiencing, well, go to feelsuper.com, type in the keyword BigPlay20. Again, feelsuper.com, BigPlay20, and you'll get 20% off your order. Whenever Bohm is about ready to go on the air, he gets so he's like a little kid. He's like, is it my turn yet? Go ahead, Bohm. Go.
Well, Chico, I got my my morning seltzer, or seltzer as you Midwesterners like to call it. And what I love about it in the
You're
morning...
a Midwesterner.
So?
Are you trying to act like you're from Long Island now because you play a gig there?
What? I can't make fun of the Long Island accent? I like my seltzer. What's wrong with that? But anyway, so the thing I love about the morning seltzer, because I am tired, is I love that it's got the caffeine and the B complex vitamins in addition to the HMB that you were talking about in the bottle. And I thoroughly enjoy it in the mornings, Chico. Nirvana's feelingsuper.com, code BIGPLAY20
No, it's
for 20%.
actually feelsuper.com, not feeling super. Somebody goes there, it's going to say website not found. Feelsuper.com.
I botched it.
Big Play 20. You almost nailed it for an incredible walk-off. But Bohm, like I said, Alec Bohm.
I tripped around third.
Alec Bohm is close to 100%. Michael Bohm.
Not as close.
Well, progress, not perfection. But we're all doing that. You know, we're all just, as they used to say on SportsCenter, Keith Olbermann used to say, and Ricky Henderson with a tight hamstring, he's day to day. We're all day to day because we all are day to day. Thanks to Bret Boone. We love talking to Boone. Check him out on the Bret Boone podcast. We do talk to him each and every Wednesday. Coming up tomorrow, all of this talk about the running back situation, and not our running back situation, but in general, they deserve more. They got to get paid more. What to do? How do we do it? Bottom line is, I don't think there really is an answer, at least coming soon. You got 7 more years under the new CBA. It is what it is, but we can kind of maybe pick apart how we've gotten there and if there is any solution to it. Nick Shook, NFL.com, is going to chime in and join us tomorrow afternoon as we have a helicopter landing here at Burke Lakefront Airport.
I wouldn't know.
Oh, you need to concentrate on. If you would have said feelsuper.com and not feelingsuper.com, I would allow you to stray and take in the sights and sounds. But
go watch the helicopters.
We need you to be focused. Sometimes I think you do watch helicopters and planes, all kinds of stuff. All right, for Michael Bohm and all of us here at Big Play, I'm Mike Chico Bormann. Talk to you tomorrow morning at 11. Until then, make it a great Wednesday, everybody. See you.